Chacham, I think is horrific. And I'm sure you said other things about, you said Moses, 40 days, 40 nights, penguins, all that. I'll leave it at this. The final thing I'll say regarding Moshe and horns, because that's something, if you go to like people say Jews have horns. The word for horn in Hebrew is Karen. The word for light or horns of light, like a shines, pillars of light, is also karne or. It's the same word. So they mistranslated horns of light because Moses saw God face to face, so to speak. He saw God's glory that caused the light to shine from him. They said that that means karne. They translated as horns, but not that Jews actually have horns. I've been talking a while. Go for it.
Not a problem. Beautiful build. Here's my return. And since we're talking about horns, you know, I'll just start there because I don't feel like writing it down. And I just want to show once again that the Bible is based off astrology and that Jews and other, you know, religious figures do indeed believe Moses has horns. The Latin Vulgate describes Moses as having horns. Here's 2 actual statues of Moses with horns. So I just want to get that on the record that people do believe within the Jewish faith that Moses had horns, but not literally. It's astrologically. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because you say you don't know a lot about Freemasonry, which may or may not be true. So what I'm going to do here is I want to show you something, because I would ask you to educate yourself, because Freemasonry is something you should learn about. As you look at this image here that I'm showing in an actual Freemasonic lodge, you see 3 books on the table. And one of the books right here is the Tanakh. And the Tanakh, okay, is the sector of Freemasonry that is reserved for the elites, because the god of Freemasonry is Lucifer. And if you read Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, who was a 33rd degree Freemasonry, he confirms that the term Yeshua is interchangeable with Lucifer. So yeah, you should look into that. I'm not saying,
by the way, Tanakh stands for Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, the Torah, the writings, and the prophets. Those are the 24 books. Okay, go ahead.
And Yeshua means Lucifer. Yeshua is interchangeable with Lucifer. So Jews, and I'm going to go into that in a second, but I'm going to just go down the line. Okay, so another thing I wanted to hit at was Goyim, right? Because I wrote down what you said, and I'm coming behind you now. Goyim does indeed mean slave. And I'm going to give you a quote from an actual Jew or rabbi using the term Goyim in its meaning. He says what? Okay, now this is Avadia Yosef, if I'm saying it right. According to Avadia Yosef, Goyim were born only to serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world, only to serve the people of Israel. Why are Gentiles needed? They will work, they will plow, they will reap. We will sit like the Effendi and eat. That is why Gentiles were created. So I just want to not only confirm that the word Goyim does mean slave, I wanted to show a Jew actually using it in the context of what it means. Now, continuing on, right? Since we're talking about Freemasonry, right? That's a good, you know, that's a good subject matter to bring up when we talk about Judaism, because Freemasonry incorporates Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, because they're literally all the same stories remixed in fictitious languages to talk about astrology and Luciferianism. Now, why is this important? According to monotheism, synagogue is the home of Satan. Okay, the 6-point star, the Hebrew star, the star of Moloch, Ramphram, that is the star of Satan. It's all throughout monotheistic teaching. Now, why is that important? The only people who worship their God in the synagogue is the Jewish community. Now, when I say that the Jews worship this entity, it's not for slanderous purposes. Here's an actual image of Jews in a synagogue worshiping Baphomet. This is not Photoshop. So you should learn about Freemasonry.
That is Photoshop.
And the reason, okay, you go but in a sec. The reason I'm bringing this up is because you may not engage in certain practices, but your people do. So when we talking about sacrifice and pedophilia, okay, because we brought that up. So let me just go to some verses, okay? Let's go to some verses, some pedophile verses. But first, what I want to do is I want to show actual newspapers of children that they were finding sacrificed in cellars of synagogues, okay? Because I don't say nothing about nobody I can't back up. Now, this is a little boy that they found murdered and sacrificed, okay, by the Jewish community, okay? Here's another newspaper, a long lost skeleton in a synagogue cellar. And if I was to read this, it would tell you that it's a sacrificed child, okay? And if you research blood label, okay, blood label is of antiquity and a lot still today, sacrificing children for rituals, as we see Donald Trump today draining the swamp. And if anybody thinks this fake, go look up Little Saint Hugh. This is his actual coffin. This is not Photoshop. Little Saint Hugh was a Christian boy who was sacrificed by Jews in 1255. Go look it up. So you should get into Freemasonry and its connection to Judaism. But as I go down my list, right, and I continue to come behind some of your talking points, right? You said, you know, basically climate and environment determines the color of skin, and this is where I have to go all the way in, because genetics is one of my primary areas. Now, when we talking about genetics, right, and what you did during your term, or what you did not do during your term, and I'll offer you another chance to do it again on your next chance. You did not prove genetic or historic lineage outside of the Bible, or outside of the Torah or religious talking points. So I'm gonna need you before this. And if you're not able to do it, you can say that. That's fine. But what I would like you to do before this conversation or discussion is over is to prove genetically and historically where you come from, without using religion and without using the evolution theory, okay? And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you study genetics, you'll know that Black people, we have the same exact chemical composition as a plant. The only difference between plants is we have magnesium. I mean, we have iron in our blood, and plants have magnesium. If you were to switch magnesium with iron, we would turn green and plants would turn black. Now, why is this important? A rose in the summer and a rose in the winter is still red. You have Eskimos right now in colder climates that are still black. We don't go to colder climates and turn white, okay? Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is this has also been confirmed by a biology professor named John Biggerstaff. He's a biology professor, and he said, quote, "There is no evolutionary or natural reason for pale skin," which means nobody evolves for beneficial reasons and creates pale skin. There is no scientific advantage of having pale skin. And this is a white biology professor. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because the evolution theory and going into the cold and turning pale, that is a lie that Caucasoid people tell us in order to integrate themselves into our history, because they have no history and they have not explained where they come from. And so my thing is this: even if we did turn color during colder climate environments, why are we not all right now chameleons? Why is everybody in America not black during the summer, light skinned during the fall, white during the winter, and then back light skinned during the spring? So you don't see a chameleon effect with humanity, because it has not happened and it will never happen. Point number two, which I don't want to fly over people's head. If you are not black, you are not a full human being according to science. You have Neanderthal DNA. So here's the thing. If I go right now and live in Alaska, even if I did turn light skin, I would not lose 7% of my DNA. So what the evolution theory and what you presented is failing to establish is this: even if we did go to a colder climate and turn a lighter shade of pigmentation, why is your DNA inclined and encompassed of animal species that you cannot sexually reproduce with? So that has not been explained by any Caucasoid on the planet. Now, keeping it moving, okay? Keeping it moving. Where I'm at now. Okay, boom. I'm here. Etymological roots, right? I want to bring this up because I don't want you to think I'm making up words because they sound alike. I want you to actually see, you know, the terminologies and the definitions of what I'm talking about. So I know you were saying the word Nazi and Nazi socialism doesn't make sense, which, you know, if you don't do etymology, it wouldn't make sense. But I have an etymology book over here in my house, but I chose to pull this up on the internet. And if you look right now at what I'm showing you on the screen, you can see the etymological roots for the word Nazi right here clearly says national zealous, which is national socialist. Okay. Also, the word Ashka means beloved. So we deal with the English language, and specifically there are prefixes and suffixes. And when we know how prefixes and suffixes work, and we know the actual linguistic origins of the Germanic and Yiddish language, we know that the word Ashkenazi is a Yiddish and Germanic combination of the word Ashka and Nazi. Okay, so it does mean beloved national socialist. That's a fact. Now, continuing on, going down my list, we want to talk about pedophilia. Okay, I got books over here. I can go grab any one of them books. I will tell you right now, you can go get a book right now called Sexual Abuse in the Jewish Community. And the book details statistically how sexual abuse in the Jewish community is actually worse than the abuse in the Catholic community. And that Jews do not get penalized because when they get caught, they're allowed to use what is called the law of return, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And they're able to run back to Israel and avoid prosecution. So not only is there a factual pedophilic issue in the Jewish community, you guys are avoiding prosecution by running back to Israel when you get caught. And I just want to say this. I'll get to it. I won't get there yet. I'll get to it. Let me go down the thing. Once again, being the original inhabitants of Israel, right? Even if we don't agree on anything we're talking about, we can agree that black people were here first, which means if anybody is native to Israel, it will be us. And we're not even claiming it. So we don't know how you claiming it. And we was here before you. But the thing is this, if you are from Israel, why can you not naturally live over there? That's like me saying I'm from Atlantis. I can't breathe under the damn water. So I can't ever factually say I'm from Atlantis. You cannot live under this sun. If you go to Skin Can, and let me pull it up because I don't want nobody to think I'm lying, because I say stuff and then people say, oh, Pharaoh, you speaking out of, I'm not speaking out of hate. I'm speaking out of facts. So let me pull up the stats right here. Boom, let me share my screen. Every hour, 2 non-black people die from the sun. Okay, that's a fact. And that was posted by skincancer.org. And so the reason I'm bringing this up, okay, y'all can't live under the sun. This is why y'all created y'all God in a book. And then you look at black people and you believe that we worship the sun. Like you say Akhenaten worship. Akhenaten didn't worship the sun. He taught the sun in accordance with holistic health. The sun heals us. It does not heal y'all. Now we can together get into a science lab and figure out why and help the situation. I'm not trying to down talk Caucasians, but the sun to us is a healing factor. We didn't worship it. We used it for medicinal purposes. And we understood the science of vitamin D. We understood the science of our bones becoming stronger. We understood the science of concentrating sunlight and making it into a laser in order to heal up. In order to speed up healing. And so our ancestors mastered medicinal practices before we were ever met with Western medicine and psychology. And y'all misunderstood that and thought it was sun worship. It wasn't sun worship. It was sun understanding. Now, keeping it pushing. Okay, I'm going to just end that here as I continue on. If you are from Israel, why can you not live there? Now, let's keep it moving, right? I did Goyim already, so I'm going to keep it pushing. I did Freemasonry already, so I'm going to keep it pushing. And once again, you should get into Freemasonry, okay? Because Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island does have Hebrew symbols on there. So if the Jews or the Hebrews are not involved in pedophilia or Freemasonry, why is an Israeli spy? Because Jeffrey Epstein was a Jew. Let's be clear on that. He was a Jew. Lex Wessner was a Jew. Ghislaine Maxwell was a Jew. Her spy father, Robert Maxwell, was a Jew. And they were all interconnected to the Israeli Mossad. Harvey Weinstein, who was also a Jew, hired his bodyguards from a Jewish private security agency called the Black Cube. So these are all Jews. And all of these Jews were not only sacrificing black kids, but white kids on that pedophile island. And he does not only have Greek decorum on that island, he has Hebrew symbols on the floor of that palace. So not only is Freemasonry and Judaism connected to pedophilia and child sacrifice historically, presently, as I'm talking to you, the biggest pedophile to exist in our time was a Jew. So I want that on the record. Now, continuing on, right? We want to talk about the origins of anti-Semitism. Now, I'm going to play a video of a Jew saying that they use anti-Semitism in order to defend themselves in a deceitful way. Because once again, I have to play it because when I'm speaking on this particular community who is on this platform, which is owned by Jews, they take videos down because of anti-Semitism. So I like to play proof behind what I'm saying. So hopefully this establishment, social media, Jews don't flag my channel for saying some real shit. Now let me play the video right here. Here we go right here. Now this video right here, anybody can go look this up. It's called The Zionist Trick, Anti-Semitic. It's a trick. We always use it. Former Israeli minister Salamit Alani. Now let me play the video.
Often when there is...
Oh, wait a minute. Let me mute this for mine. Hold on.
...expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government.
Boom. Okay, hold on. Let me get myself out of here. It's because I'm in here on my computer and my laptop. All right, pause. Here we go. All right, here we go. I'm playing it from my computer. Exit. Where is my keyboard? Here's my keyboard.
Maybe God doesn't want it to come on.
Listen, God gonna have to sit this one out this time. God gonna have to sit this one out. All right, here we go. I bet he don't. He's a deceitful God. He's a deceitful God. But I got to expose God. God,
he doesn't mean it. Doesn't mean it.
He must get exposed. Now, with that being said, here's the video right here. I'm gonna screen share it from my actual desktop, so that way we don't got to deal with that. Now, once again, this is a Jew admitting that they use anti-Semitism as a trick. Okay, now here we go. Let's bang the video out. Bang.
Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money. And the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong.
Pause. You heard that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the ties between the Israeli and American establishment is very strong. But outside of that, she said whenever somebody criticizes the Jews, they bring out anti-Semitism and the Holocaust as a trick. So let me let this play. It's like 30 more seconds.
And they're strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They're talented people and they have power, money, and media and other things. And their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong. They identify fiction. And they are not ready to hear criticism. And it's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government.
Okay, pause. So that's what I needed to hear. That they're not ready to hear criticism and that they bring up the Holocaust, and that they bring up anti-Semitism as a trick to dance around criticism. And since we're talking about the Holocaust, I have to just say this honestly. I'm not gonna say I don't care, but the Holocaust is being inflated. Black people have been murdered and genocided 50,000 times worse than what happened to y'all. And we are still I'm not done. Okay, let me give you the numbers. Arabs killed 40 million Africans. And that was just during the Arab slave trade. Then the Arabs educated Caucasoids on how to do it. Caucasians have killed over 100 million Indians alone, let alone Africans. So Arabs killed 40 million Africans. Arabs educated Caucasians how to do it. Caucasians, aka Spaniards, which are white people who speak Spanish because Spanish was created in Italy, came and then they killed 20 million Africans. And then the Dutch came and they killed 40 million. And then the British came and they killed 30 million. Then the British came back in the 1900s underneath Leopold and killed 14 million Africans in the early 1900s. Then Mussolini with Hitler came behind him and killed 40 million. And then when the Pilgrims came over here, the Dutch, the French, and the Spaniards was already over here murdering people. But then the European Pilgrims came and they killed 100 million just off zoonotic diseases and bad hygiene. So if we were to add up the body count of Black people in comparison with the Holocaust, I don't honestly want to hear that shit. You got more Black people in jail today around the world than that can compete with amount of Jews that died during the Holocaust. So my main thing is, if and I'm not saying that the Holocaust was good, but what I'm saying is, y'all trying to do with y'all trying to use the Holocaust the same way that the LGBTQ is trying to use gay rights. Y'all are trying to put y'all plights out of order. Yes, you have a plight, but you got to respect rank and file. The Holocaust is not the #1 historical horrible event. It's like number 2 or 3. What happened to us is horrible. And I'll tell you why. Even though your history is completely made the fuck up, you still got it. I got real history. I got real pyramids. I got real pharaohs. I got real ancestors that I don't even know about because it's still being hidden from me today. Why? Because the creators of the school curriculum in this country are Jews, and they lying to me about who I am. And that's a fact that the McGraw school curriculum, Robert Maxwell has ownership in that, and he's an Israeli spy Jew. And so my thing is, you guys are able to obtain your history, whether we agree with it or not. Ours is still being hidden from us to this very day. So the Holocaust is relevant, but it must take a back seat until Black men, not gay, not trans, until Black heterosexual men get justice. I don't want to hear shit about a Holocaust. Now, when we get justice, then we can give you justice. But here's the thing. How did y'all skip the line? Not only did you get justice, you get a minimum of $3 billion from this country every year. We giving y'all $10.5 million a day to help y'all set up a land that y'all not even from. And we are from this land. We are from America. We are from Africa. We are from it. We was here first all around the world, and we don't get shit. And so I don't really want to hear nothing about the Holocaust. But keeping it moving, okay? Israel, right? Talking about slavery. We can debate if Jews partook in the European slave trade, because that's just one slave trade. There were multiple slave trades. Let's just talk about today. Israel conspired with Hillary Clinton, aka America, to kill Gaddafi so that the slave trade in Libya could commence. That's a fact. But why is nobody talking about all of the African refugees that are trying to flee to Israel? And Israel right now, as we speak, is literally rounding them up and forcing them back into slavery, knowing that they'll be sold and traded by the Arabs. So I don't want to hear shit about the Jews don't partake in slavery, because if you run to my house right now and you say somebody's trying to rape me, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let you in my house and I'm gonna call 911. If I tell you I don't give a fuck, go back over there. I'm just as guilty as you. I'm just as guilty as your attacker. So why is nobody talking about not only how Israel's military intelligence entities, I know all about Unit 8200, I know all about it. Why is nobody not talking about how Israel not only conspired with this country to initiate slavery in Libya, but how they are also forcing African refugees to be traded and enslaved by denying them sanctuary, but yet they want aid from this same motherfucking country to avoid that fate. And so the Jews, aka Israel, is just as guilty as anybody on the field, period. Now continuing to go down the list. Whatchamacallit? You made a comment saying that Farrakhan, Nick Cannon, and others make comments that would make people angry towards Jews. And I just want to say this on the record. I don't give a fuck about Farrakhan. So if you don't, I don't. I agree with you there. Farrakhan is a fraud, and you know, just like I know, y'all got that man in y'all back pocket. Let's be clear on that. Just like y'all got Nick Cannon in y'all back pocket. So let's be clear on that. Now, me personally, I'm not in nobody's back pocket. But the reason that that's important is because how can we say that Farrakhan or Nick Cannon, who's a pussy, by the way, how can we say that they say things that make people angry at the Jewish community when the Jews own and run, along with China, the entertainment industry, and y'all purposely only allow images of black people on the TV that make people angry at us? Y'all don't put niggas like me on the TV. I can't get no job in Hollywood. I do more numbers and I got a more engaging following than 2 out of 10 mainstream artists. Ain't nobody approach me with no deal. Y'all snatching videos down. I got a lawsuit right now with YouTube because the Jews, YouTube, don't want me saying the shit I'm saying. So my thing is this. Why do we have to, if we gonna have common courtesy, why it can't go both ways? Why do I gotta watch my mouth about what might upset the Jewish community when yet y'all are making billions of dollars showing my people in a degradational image that does nothing but make not only us, but everybody else upset at us? So the Jewish community got to play fair. Now, going to my next page of coming behind you, right? Sound. Okay, we want to talk about God talking to Moses, right? And I'm going to ask you, you can say yes or no. Do you understand the process of sound and how you actually hear? It's a yes. You can say yes or no. If you don't know, it's okay. I just want to ask because I'll explain.
I think so, but please explain.
Okay. Sound is conducted through your bones. So with that being said, the thinner your bones, the higher frequency you conduct. This is why black people, we like bass. We like loud music because we absorb more frequency than other races of people because we have thinner bones. This is why, and I'm not attacking nobody, but we've all heard people use the term, get it through your thick skull, you Neanderthal. The reason people used to say that is because Neanderthals have thicker skulls, so they process less sound frequency. This is why white people don't like loud ass music with bass, because it's not good for their skeletal system. I understand. Yeah, I understand that. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because a snake cannot talk because it doesn't have a voice box. And not only does it not have a voice box, a spirit does not have a voice box. We talk to spirits using using EMP technology to process sound waves and interpret it into freak phenomena. So why is this important? If God doesn't have a body, he cannot produce a voice. And if he cannot produce a voice, there is no electrical interval that can enter into your ear, come in contact with your skull, resonate that frequency to your brain, and be interpreted as a message. So if God is not a physical being, he cannot produce a physical event. Now the sun produces sound, and this is why my ancestors spoke to the sun. Radio wave, by definition, is electromagnetic signals carrying sound messages. So the sun speaks to us just like it speaks to plant. No man in the sky speaks to you. So that is scientific reasoning why no God ever spoke to Moses. Now, crossing that off the list, going back down, I already touched on biology professor John Biggerstaff says there's no rational reason for pale skin, so I'll skip that. Spirituality, right? Here's my thing about monotheism, right? And why I will never accept it. Math is a universal language. And math is such a powerful language that you can add words in order, you can add, subtract, divide, multiply words in order to develop philosophy. So words don't actually math doesn't actually only help you count, it helps you understand. So why is this important? 1 + 1 is 2. If the Bible, if the Quran, if the Torah was actually real spiritual texts, and let's just say they real, let's just act like I fully subscribe to the belief of this system, that God cannot be a righteous God, because Caucasoids have never had a righteous civilization. Now, why is this important, right? We talk about the plagues in Egypt. When they genetically tested those Africans over there, not only did we not have disease, we had all of our teeth and we had healthy blood. We were vegans. And so if the Bible or the Torah or the Quran is saying that there was a plague in Egypt, and then actual geneticists and anthropologists are pulling pharaohs out of the tomb and pulling bodies out of Egypt, and not only showing that we were void of disease, we were healthier than anybody living today, that shows it couldn't have been no plague and somebody's lying. Now, why else is that important? Once again, Caucasians have never had a spiritual civilization. You cannot name one Caucasoid civilization that was void of violence and that was totally peaceful. Every African civilization before Caucasians came in contact with us was peaceful. And if you look at Black people today, even if you go to third world countries where their ribs is showing, they're happy and they're dancing. Any Black person outside of the influence of Western psychology is happy. The only time you see Black people miserable is when we are living underneath colonial powers. The only time you see us acting savage is when we are under colonial powers. And another example of this I want to bring up is this. Look at Black people in the ghetto. When we get money, we don't commit crime. We sit the fuck down. Look at Chief Keef. He sat down. Look at 50 Cent. Sat down. Look at Nipsey Hussle. Sat down. Look at me. Sat down. What do non-Black people do when they get money? Chemtrails. Fuck up the earth. Knock down a rainforest. Pedophilia. Vaccines. So we have to ask ourselves, who is a spiritual person naturally and who is not? And if these books actually taught righteousness, why has no civilization ever been a righteous civilization underneath the practice of these books? Now let me keep it moving because I got like 4 more and I'm straight.